Welcome to the world's longest sea bridge, the longest fixed link on Earth. This 55-kilometre bridge tunnel system connects Hong Kong, Macau and Shanghai, three major cities on the Pearl River. It was opened in October 2018 after 9 years of construction and 436 years after the arrival of Macau Ricci in Macau. It was Macau Ricci who dedicated his life in service to the Chinese people. Macau Ricci was a bridge builder between China and the West. When you build a bridge, you create a means for people to meet. You make it possible to overcome obstacles and make new connections. This was the work of Macau Ricci in the 16th century. This is the work of the Macau Ricci Institute in the 21st century.
I really think that for the vision of the MRI, the symbol of the bridge is most appropriate, especially between China and the Western world. China is such fantastic, complex world, and I do think that the Macau Ricci Institute plays an important role of a bridge. We have the famous Italian writer Umberto Eco came to China 20 years ago, and he was fascinated by this intercultural charism of Macau, which I think is often overlooked. So I do think that this special mission and vision of the Macau Ricci Institute is to open doors to better understand China and its interaction with the Western world. The mission of the Macau Ricci Institute journal is focused on comparative spirituality, the dialogue between Christianity and other wisdom traditions like Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism and Islam. Second, on social innovation, look what is propping on really new, also ethically new in a society. And finally, look how we could shape a new and very much required moral leadership.
Confucius means to have the social responsibility. Not only love oneself, but also love the people as you love yourself and love your own family. So to develop business, we should also take care of not only oneself's interests, but also others. That means we should take care of the interests of the stakeholders and the whole society.
The Macau business people can benefit from Macau Ricci Institute because we can take the contemplation course to make ourselves to be more, have a peaceful heart and free will, and then we can make good decisions when we are facing challenges.
Laudato Si, which was given to us by Pope Francis, is subtitled "The Care of Our Common Home." It is a message for the whole world regarding what we must do and how we must change our hearts if we are to address the environmental crisis that is looming ahead of us, particularly known as catastrophic climate change. So what Francis does in that letter is he gives us hope, and he tries to empower all people, whatever our circumstances, not just the people involved in public policy or expertise in universities, scientists, but ordinary people. What can we do in our lives, in our homes, with regard to waste management, to recycling, to taking care of plastics, and re-examining the role of all these things that we've come to take for granted in a throwaway society. That's his word for what we have been and what we have to start thinking through toward a new way of living together. Care for our common home.
The University of St. Joseph and the Macau Ricci Institute are working together to build a platform of online education focused on the topics of interest from the Ricci Institute and also the research from our university. That covers the history of Macau, the issue of ethics in business, good practices, anything that is related with both of our common interests.
Jesuit art in Macau is so important because it is a new, an innovative visual artistic project that comes through and that is exported throughout the world. This is the main reason for the importance of Jesuit art in Macau.
We need to look further afield. Although culturally speaking, Japan was a swamp that, according to the novelist, is not the right time to Christianize the Japanese people. But with the witnesses, the living witnesses of the local Japanese Christians, they are the ones who really, give witness to Christ, and not so much the foreign missionaries. And this may be a sign to us nowadays to educate, to go along, to accompany the Christians, the local Christians.
This book, 50 Masters of Chinese Buddhism by Christian Coccini, has been published by Macau Ricci Institute in 3 languages, English, French, and Chinese. This book summarizes the whole work of Father Christian Coccini, who passed away last year, and it gives us the gist of the history and tradition of Chinese Buddhism. Reading this book, we can understand better the history, the background, and the importance of Chinese Buddhism in the history of China. Today, Buddhism is very important because of its tremendous impact it had on Chinese society throughout the history. And if we want to dialogue with Buddhism, it is so important to study and to reflect about those great figures that shaped the history of Buddhism.
Well, the key to successful negotiations is for each side to take time to understand the cultural mindset of the other party so that they can build trust. Cross-cultural negotiations between Chinese and Westerners can easily break down because of a lack of understanding of each other's cultural approaches. So in the MRI, there's a MOOC that we produced on cross-cultural negotiation, in which we give an example of the potential misunderstandings that can hinder negotiation. Now, Westerners are particularly sensitive about transparency and can interpret a lack of transparency as untrustworthiness. In contrast, Chinese negotiators may regard a focus on the bottom line instead of people as being untrustworthy. So the essence of the MRI is its Jesuit legacy of building long-term friendship as the end and not the means to an economic prize. Now, trust takes time and a willingness to overcome very real cultural and economic conflicts from a shared aim of building a long-term harmonious relationship.
I think that the most important thing we can do is to help people to speak together, to dialogue. Chinese intellectual, Western intellectual, and to try to understand each other. Not so much to stress the differences as such, but to progress in the mutual understanding that after all we share the same humanity and we have something to learn from each other.